In terms of the business, how do they determine the difference between gross and profits?
Well, I mean, in terms of the way the tax system works now, businesses are able to, corporations are able to deduct pretty much everything.
Right.
You and I have a limited number of deductions. Corporations can deduct everything from the cost of supplies and materials to if the CEO is making $1 million, they deduct that. They deduct everything. And what's left over is their profits. What the legislature decided to do is, we will raise the tax rate we have on your profits by a little bit. But if you tell the IRS that you don't have a taxable profit, we still are going to ask you to pay something, a little bit. I mean, the typical Oregon family pays about 5% of their total income, their gross income, in Oregon income taxes. We decided every corporation benefits from the existence of a public safety system, from a healthcare system, from an education system in Oregon. Even if they tell the IRS they're not making a profit, they are still benefiting from public services. We're just asking them to pay 1/10 of 1%.
So how do they determine whether the company pays that on their profits or pays?
It's the highest of the two.
The highest of the two.
Yeah,
Okay.
whichever is the highest. It's like the alternative minimum tax for people.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, the average wage earner, they would not be paying any taxes.
That is absolutely correct. The average wage in Oregon is somewhere around $30,000 or something. They are not making $250,000. They do not see a tax increase.
So that commercial where the woman walks up to the counter and asks about will her taxes be retroactive or has she haven't taken any out of her paycheck?
The first question that the tax guy should have asked is, do you make over $250,000? And if she had said no, then he would have said, don't worry about it.
How does this affect small businesses and small business owners?
Well, small businesses, as I said, the vast majority of small businesses are organized as S-corps and partnerships and LLCs. They will pay $150, period. That's it. There's, and all businesses, no matter what kind, the most they will pay is either 1.3% of their profits or 1/10 of 1% of their Oregon revenues. So even big businesses, that's all they pay. In terms of small business owners, it won't surprise you, are mostly not particularly rich. In fact, so in terms of Measure 66, the tax on rich people, 93% of small business owners will not be affected.
Right.
There's another 5% that will be affected, but it has nothing to do with their small business. The thing about rich people is, if you're rich, people ask you to invest in stuff. So there's some percentage of rich people that make their money doing something else, but they have some ownership in a small business, like you're a Nike executive, who your Aunt Carol opens a bakery. You invest in her bakery. On your tax return, you say you're a small business owner, but that's not where you made your money. So the other side is making this big deal saying that, you know, it's all about small business owners. It's like, yeah, some rich people have an interest in a small business, but usually that's not where they make their money. So only 2% of small business owners in Oregon are A, going to be affected by Measure 66, and B, actually make their money from their small business. And that's because, you know, there's something people are doing quite well. And here's another funny thing. The definition of small business owner that we're using here is anybody with an ownership interest in a partnership or an LLC and an S-corp. Well, that includes partnerships like the big downtown law firm Stoll Reeves. So we're using the definition under which they're a small business, and yes, they make over $250,000 a year.
And sole proprietorships are not affected at all.
Very good point. 250,000 of the businesses in Oregon are really sole proprietorships where somebody hasn't set up a separate business entity at all, and they pay nothing under Measure 67. The other side is making this big deal, pretending that these measures are going to affect family farms. 85% of family farmers are sole proprietorships, so they pay nothing under Measure 67, and there aren't too many rich farmers running around, so they're not paying under Measure 66 either.